Hello.
Hi, Millie. Paul Farkas here.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Oh, terrific. Adam's right at my side.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Adam. How are you?
Good, good. Wow, it's been quite a day today.
Yes. I'm sure it's been pretty busy and pretty robust.
Yeah. The conference, we can't thank you guys enough for helping sponsor it because we actually have about 2,200 docs show up. So it's been just a remarkable turnout.
Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Especially considering that it's something that really hadn't been done before.
Yeah, and considering also that it's football season, we completely forgot.
Exactly.
we totally forgot who we were competing against, but yes, no, it's been great. So, have you had any time to step into any of the classes?
I haven't. I was going to my classes. I'm going to sit right up to we finish. I'm going to close out because I thought I was going to get a chance to do some classes earlier today, and that didn't work out.
Okay. Well, we hope you.
This is the day that I kind of have to be mom.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know. In fact, right before we called you missed my son Reed just ran in here as we were broadcasting and interrupted the whole show. So it happens.
Well, that's why I'm getting ready to escape to a different room, so that doesn't happen.
Well, no worries, no worries. Yeah, if there's an interruption, no worries. Everyone will understand. But thank you so much for coming today. Paul and I just wanted to just sort of touch base with you and see what's been going on. We've been talking a lot on our live broadcast over the last 14 hours, just talking about the kinds of things that you've been doing. And I haven't revealed too much because God only knows, right? If I can reveal anything. But I'm always worried, right? Because I don't know. I was there with you in Jacksonville, and I'm like, am I allowed to talk about this? I don't know. But everyone's really curious as to what's been going on because you guys have been doing such a great job over the past year or 18 months with this flurry of new products. It just seems like there's an incredible energy there, and I think everyone kind of wants to learn the inside story.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that we've been involved in is, I think you remember us talking about the enterprise strategy. And when I came in, this was something that our whole U.S. board was invested in. And that was really striking a stronger relationship with the profession, followed by, and not in any particular order, but followed by really getting some very valuable innovation out that doctors could use to really basically address the demanding needs that patients have right now. As we all know, patients are in front of computers all day. They have their handheld digital devices. It's nonstop movement with the eyes. They're going in and out of different environments, some humid, some, maybe very dry. So we, as professionals, have to, as a manufacturer, because I forget sometimes since I haven't just recently stopped practicing. So as a manufacturer, we have to come up with products that help the doctors best meet their patients' needs. You have to bring value to patients when you ask them to come back year after year. They want to know what's new. They want to know what kind of innovation is out there, and they want their needs addressed. And we have the responsibility, both as a manufacturer and also as a doctor, to provide that for the consumer.
Right. And so I guess one other question that Paul and I had for you, off the top of our head, just kind of shifting gears, because I think everyone's been asking us the issues with the FTC and what's been going on politically. One thing that we've tried to relate to everybody out there is how much work you guys are doing behind the scenes. And I'm just going to say something, so I may get in trouble right now, okay? So this is on a 20-second delay, right? 20-second delay, right? So I was down in Jacksonville.
Right.
Yeah, so I was down in Jacksonville, I guess it was a few months ago, right? It was right before Oasis One Day was launched. And when I was there, you guys were actually, as I was there, I remember, was it you and a couple of other people ran out of the room and you were actually talking to politicians. I was surprised, some very high-level politicians, about what's been going on in the contact lens space. And I thought to myself, wow, these are the kinds of things that you're doing that are completely invisible to everybody else out there. And I wish more people could know. So, with that said, what's been going on with the FTC and what you guys have been doing?
Well, I'm glad to tell you that, but first I just want to back up and say thank you so much for all that you did to help really get out the importance of us showing up as a profession and really defending and making sure that the FTC understands the seriousness of non-compliance with the Fairness to Contact Lens Consumer Act. That particular day, that was Senator Crenshaw, who is, we were giving a tour and really wanted to give him some background because he works a lot with the FTC. And we wanted to make sure that he was aware, and actually all of our Florida legislators, and we were able to get him to come for a personal tour of the facility. And then Laura Angelini, our president, and I flew to D.C., and we spoke to every single Florida legislator to make sure that they were aware as well also. And now, the real issue there, as you probably know, is that we put together a coalition, and the coalition is for patient vision care safety, and it really is comprised of all the four major manufacturers, Consumer Group, the AOA, and the National Optometric Association also, which, if you don't know, is minority optometrists in this country. Mm. And what we did was we pulled together this coalition so that, first of all, the FTC could see that this is not a personal issue for manufacturers. It's not a personal issue for the American Optometric Association. It's an issue that's centered around making sure that patients have choice, but patients want safe choice. And so we all have a vested interest. And from a manufacturer's vantage point, if you have patients who are purchasing products and not able to get a safe product, that ultimately doesn't do well for growing our business, and it certainly doesn't do well for growing the category. I don't know what age you were when you started contacts, but I had my first pair of contacts at age 16, and it was just an absolutely thrilling experience for me. It just transformed my world as I saw it. And so we want to see more people have that experience at a younger age, and those of us who are getting to be more seasoned in our contact lens wear, we want to be able to stay in contact.
Right.
So one of the main issues I think that fired up the profession, and thanks to your help again with that, is that we really had to impress upon the FTC the importance of making sure that they enforce. They're not enforcing the Fairness to Contact Lens Consumer Act. You know, it needs some help and it needs some adjustments, and we certainly gave comments to that effect. But if it were just being enforced, it would be a much better situation than it is currently.
Right.
You also need to make sure that we have quantity limits. Patients can take a prescription that's written for an annual supply of lenses in November. And in October of the following year, they will get a call from certain online manufacturers who might ask them, would you like to purchase another annual supply of lenses?
Right.
Now, that circumvents the intention of the FTC in making sure that patients received an adequate supply of lenses for a year, but then they did the right thing by going back in and making sure that, A, the prescription is still correct, the material is still relevant for their personal situation. You know, their job could have changed, their environment could have changed, it could have moved. A number of factors could have changed, and so it's important to go in for those things. But the third thing is that when you go in to see your optometrist or ophthalmologist, for that matter, that's your frontline defense on what's going on with your eyes from a health standpoint, but also systemically. We all know that there are many situations where the patient goes in to the optometrist and discovers for the first time that they have diabetes, that they have high blood pressure, that they have an autoimmune disease. A myriad of other conditions show up during that time period. So patients are not always educated as to how that can take place, and it's our responsibility to make sure that they don't forego that perfect opportunity to make sure that they stay healthy.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
That's it.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say, and for anyone who's out there listening, you know, Millie's absolutely right. We had Jeff Santino on here yesterday telling us about horror stories about, you know, patients who circumvented at least the spirit of the law and were really harmed, you know, and he was telling us just some gory, horrible things that could have been caught had the clinician been more in the loop earlier. But instead they were pushed away because this law was sort of circumvented, or the spirit of it was. And, you know, there were some things that were actually very vision threatening that these patients have had.
it's funny. I saw that case, and the patient actually was told by, I think, the online provider that their prescription expired, but the prescription was filled anyway.
God.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And when things like that happen, that's a perfect example. It may not happen very often, but when it happens, it's bad.
Yeah.
Who are the opponents, Millie? Is it just one provider, or is it several providers and some consumer groups that are fighting?
Yeah, so this is, I have to tell you, so this is the one time that Rick Weisbart from Alcon, Michele Andrews from Cooper Vision, and myself, we didn't have a representative from Bausch & Lomb at this particular meeting on Tuesday. But you would be proud of us. We all worked together and tag team and told the story about how important it is to enforce this law, and these are the reasons from a clinician standpoint, and these are the reasons from a manufacturer standpoint, and this should be the reason from the consumer standpoint. They trust us to give them safe, effective laws.
And who are the opponents? Who were the opponents? Was it just the online companies, or were the consumer groups?
The online companies unfortunately had already had their say.
Uh-huh.
They got to come in first.
Right.
So I really felt that there were some who had pretty much made up their minds, probably not in our favor necessarily. But I think the fact that they gave us the courtesy of a pretty rigorous debate of question and answer for a full hour and a half, that they really want to do the right thing, and they really wanted to get information. And what they continue to stress is that they really have to have quantitative information, because these are attorneys, they're not clinicians, so they need quantitative information, as well as they need optometrists and ophthalmologists and those who are able to write prescriptions for contact lenses to be compliant as well.
Right.
So the Fairness of Contact Lens Consumer Act states that you have to release the contact lens prescription as soon as the contact lens fitting process is complete. I can't emphasize that enough. You cannot ask the FTC to reprimand someone else if the doctors are not following the law.
Right. Absolutely. So I guess my question would be, what is it that you were looking for from the FTC if they're going to revise the law just to make it more realistic and work properly in the real world? Is there anything that you recommended to them, how you'd like to see it evolve?
Yeah, we asked them to simplify the complaint process just to make it easier. So when doctors have patients that come in and say, I haven't been in 5 years. I've been getting my prescription filled on a regular basis, that there's a mechanism in place by which they can very quickly report that case to the FTC so that information is collected. We also want to make sure that they reinforce the illegality of advertising sales of contact lenses without a prescription. We've had multiple cases through our company, through our research. We found multiple websites that are advertising that they can purchase contact lenses without a prescription. Also, quantity limits. Who would? And see, Adam, you're a physician. Can you imagine ever writing a prescription for a patient for a major antibiotic, and that patient that has no refills on it, and you give the patient the supply that they need, and then you give the prescription back to the patient so they can go and shop around and get multiple other.
Right.
I mean, that's unheard of, but that's essentially what the patient does with the contact lens prescription.
Right.
So, they technically could buy as much as they want. So we ask them to reinforce that and regulate it the same way you would any other medical prescription. Put quantity limits on them and make sure sellers respect it.
Right.
Great. It's very encouraging.
Yeah.
And it looks like with all the contact lens companies cooperating, maybe something will happen.
Knock wood.
Yes.
And the AOA is on the job as well. Well, just one other question, Millie. Why did Vistacon agree to support Seawire 2016?
Why would anyone agree to support this nonsense?
I mean, after our 14 hours, I'm not sure anyone will.
I know.
After this.
But, our background is a conservative company, so this whole process has been a stretch. But, this is so innovative. And, I give you guys big, big kudos for this. And we've been on this journey of really bringing innovation to the forefront. So, we launched 4 products last year, and this year, hint, hint, we have some other things coming down the pike. So we look at innovation in a lot of ways, though. Innovation is not just the products, but it's the manufacturing process. Because, it really doesn't help us if we come up with all these great products for the doctors, and then we have an antiquated manufacturing process that doesn't allow us to get the product where it needs to go. So we've had to spend an awful lot of money with updating that process, and it is amazing. Now, you had a chance to have a tour, I think, when you were there. We also look at innovation when it comes to the way in which we teach and train and educate doctors on our materials.
Right.
And we're really looking at some advanced ways of being able to do that. So innovation comes in a lot of different ways, and so I was really excited with this new CE avenue because it's really innovative. It's fresh, and it meets the needs of a lot of individuals who may not have the ability to always attend a face-to-face meeting.
Right.
We need to have other options available.
Yep.
And if I will digress for just a second on the when I look at the profile of optometrists now, we have, as you know, a lot more women coming out of practice, and many of them have small families and may want to get to some of the national and regional and local state association meetings, but they may not be able to. So this provides another mechanism by which they can do that, and I really love the idea that the profits or proceeds go to charity. So thank you again for that. I mean, it's just a wonderful addition.
Well, thanks. And I have to mention something about manufacturing because it made me laugh when you said it. When I visited you guys, you know what it was like? I have to just tell everyone out here. It was almost like the Willy Wonka's factory, because you go in and you're in the regular part of VistaCon that you're used to, that's been there for a long time, and you're walking around in the usual corridor. And then you go through a different door, and then all of a sudden, you're in a facility that wasn't there before. Like literally this brand new, gigantic place that is just churning out millions of Oasis One-Day lenses. And you just look at it and you're like, where did this come from? So yeah, it was kind of a surreal experience being there and seeing it.
Well, we've got a huge range of lenses to produce, all the way through the high minus to the high plus, and then 2 different base curves. So, we just have to make sure that our production is stellar and on top of things.
Oh, great.
Sure. Okay, so I think we got a tremendous amount of backstory.
Yeah, this is great. I had no idea that you guys were cooperating so well together, all the major manufacturers.
That's this week.
That's this week, right?
You know what? I think we all have a vested interest in. Again, we have to be careful because there is no collusion going on in any sense.
Right. What
is happening is that we both the manufacturers and both the profession, have one vested interest, and that's to make sure that patients have a safe and healthy contact lens experience.
Right. And when Jeff Santino was here yesterday, he actually laid out a nightmare scenario that I'm sure everyone has thought about, where there are folks lobbying for laws where they could substitute materials, which to me just sounds crazy, where you could have any generic material substituted in for what you've written. And I sort of wonder, is that the end of the contact lens industry? I mean, why would anyone ever create a new material after that?
Well, our studies have actually shown that that's actually being done currently about a third of the time.
Really?
And it's such a disservice to the consumer because, say, for instance, you come to me as a practitioner, and I have a very strong preventative practice, and you wanted protection for UV because you spent a lot of time outdoors, or you had macular degeneration in your family, and you wanted to, do things in a smart way and preventive way. And I prescribed Oasis. I'm just making it up, for you, that has that UV blocking in it. And then you took the prescription, and the patient took the prescription, and for whatever reason decided to go someplace else, and which is their right, and purchase it elsewhere. And I didn't see that patient back for maybe 2 or 3 years because, unfortunately, whoever they were purchasing their lenses from were not respecting the expiration dates, and so they were continually refilling the prescription. And when that patient came back, we discovered that there were actually some changes to the macula. And the patient's, maybe I'm making it up, upset because, Dr. Knight, you told me that you were going to give me a lens that protects me from UV damage and free radical damage from the sun. And instead, we discovered that that lens was actually substituted out for something that doesn't have any type of UV protection in it. And so who's liable for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's
probably still me.
Sure.
That's a great question. I'm just amazed that this can be done. I mean, literally, you're substituting one chemical for another. In medicine, if you even tried to do that, I don't even know. It's just beyond the realm of imagining that someone would do that. So, yeah.
Well, the opposition is saying that contact lenses are just plastic and that there's been no innovation in the last 10 years.
I beg to differ just based on what I'm wearing right now, that I can actually see things, right? Since I have a multifocal in my eye, so yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that the industry has to protect itself against bad news because media loves to play up bad news. And it's been the bane of the contact lens area that any little thing that happens seems to make the headlines, where you rarely get the good and positive news from the media. So you don't want bad news to happen. So there's one way to avoid it is to make certain that everyone obeys the law.
Yep.
Paul, you are absolutely correct. I mean, and we all know that bad news sells probably better than the myriad of great stories that you can tell about how successful people are with contact lenses.
Yeah, so we have to do it.
Yep. All right. Well, Millie, thanks so much for being here today. It's been great speaking with you, and I guess we're going to catch up on the road, right? I hope I see you at SECO.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys, for making this fun and painless, as you said.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Somewhat painless. Well, enjoy the lectures. I hope you have a great fun with them. Remember, you have until May 1st to watch them, so
That's right.
Take your time.
You still need credits, Millie, right? You may be a VP, but you still have a license.
That's a lot of needs.
There you go. All right. Well,
Great. Thanks. I'm going to jump on now.
All right. Thanks again.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.